if chocolate isn't the answer, could you repeat the question? Hello, I'm Pat Coakley, and welcome to PODSNACKS, Art of the Diet, the weekly podcast that each week tries to ask the right question about how to maintain a significant weight loss. You can access all the episodes on www.artofthediet.com. Hello, this is Pat Coakley, and it's January 23rd, 2019. And I have another interview for you this week, but I had some tech difficulties, so it's going to be short. The interview part, I'm going to give about 20 minutes of it, and I'm going to summarize for you at the end what I had to edit out because of tech difficulties. But needless to say, I think this story of Lorna's story indicates some of the red flags that we all have had flying in our lives at different points. Some of the specifics of her journey, for example, that she grew up with missionary parents, so started off in Madagascar and then came back to the United States, and the differences in food culture that she's noticed over the years that she feels helps explain her lifelong weight issues, and some of the personal and physical things, a seasonal affect disorder, and feeling at times in her life without any type of support for getting through some of the personal issues, and just dealing with life and with the losses in life and with the weather in Minnesota life. And I just feel that even though the specifics are hers, I think there's a universality about the struggle and the struggle of gaining and regaining and choosing some fringe kind of programs, even though they might be in a strip mall, and what impact they had, both short-term and maybe long-term. And in particular, I think she said to me toward the end of the 20 minutes that I'm going to give you that she's aware that she has spent half her life, she's 45 years old, worried about weight. And she has many family members, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, as well as her great-aunt, who, while dying in the nursing home, said to Lorna, well, at least I'm losing some weight. And I think Lorna is at the point in her life where she doesn't want to get to that point, that at 92 years of age, she's still worried about her weight. So I'm giving shouting out an amen to that, and high-fiving that statement. And so I'll give you 20 minutes of Lorna, and then I'll just summarize at the end what I had to edit out. Okay, so I think we're recording. So this is Lorna, who's graciously agreed to do this interview during a lunch hour, which I consider Nobel Prize worthy. And so I would just like it if you could share with us when you first were aware of weight issues, and did they only apply to you, or was it other folks? Share with us where it all began.
Boy, it's a long time ago. I even remember when I was 5 years old being aware of of food and weight issues because I grew up on the mission field. My parents were missionaries in Madagascar. And so there was always an awareness of never wasting food and being really careful of how we ate, how we appreciated food, not to eat too much food, keep everything in check. And then when I was 5, we came back to the United States. And at that point, I'm in kindergarten, but I'm always hearing my mom talking about weight because my mother always struggled with her weight. My grandmother always struggled with her weight. My great-grandmother struggled with her weight.
Yeah.
And so from 5 on, I really remember hearing about weight issues. I always was really aware of food just because of, our circumstances. And our circumstances changed a lot when I was 5 and 6 when we moved back to the United States, and that was in the 80s. And that was during a time when food and food production and the way that people dealt with food was very different than even when my siblings grew up, like more in the 70s and 60s. It was very different. It was the age of all the TV dinners and
that's right. Yep, absolutely. I remember those TV dinners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And macaroni and cheese, boxes of macaroni and cheese. Although my mom really didn't resort to that very often. She was always very health conscious. I was trying really hard to have balanced nutritional meals. She was a nurse, and my grandmother was a nurse, so they always had some sort of idea about nutrition. I remember my grandma actually was one of those first people in Weight Watchers when Weight Watchers first kind of started getting big. I remember her proudest moment was when she was, I don't know if you would call it crowned queen of Weight Watchers, but she had won an award and her friends all came over and ironically had a luncheon.
Of course.
She wore a sash.
Yep.
And had a tiara.
God.
And there were pictures of that. And she was so proud because she had lost all this weight and worked really hard on it. I remember growing up, my mom, I was in junior high, I'd go to aerobics class with my mom. So a lot of stuff, even before I was a teenager, having just a real awareness that weight was an issue and probably was going to become an issue for me. And so I was really careful.
And so when did you go on your first diet?
In high school. So I live in the Midwest, and winters are brutal. And also I kind of have now what I know is seasonal affective disorder. So I get really, I get kind of down in the winter. I have a really hard time keeping up with good movement and exercise, and I just, I kind of want to shut down a lot, and especially with no sunlight. And I live in the north, and it's cold, and also our food choices change up here. Like especially like in our house, we're like a kind of an old Norwegian immigrant family, and so we eat a ton of potatoes, or we would eat a lot of potatoes, and meat, and just kind of farming, meat and potatoes, farming kind of stuff.
I should interrupt you for a minute, and just to tell the audience that you were talking about living in Minnesota right now, right? And so when you're talking about the change of climate and the seasonal affective disorder, I think people will understand it more if you've got it in Minnesota than you do if you have it in Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, right now we can go through stretches of time up here where the clouds are here all the time. Yeah. So kind of a mild winter right now, actually. We're kind of above average with the temperature, which is about 30 degrees, which is fine. You know, that's not horrible. We've gone through stretches where, you know, it's been below zero for like 10 or 12 days in a row, big snowstorms, things like that. But we're not experiencing that now. But just the cloudy darkness, it gets dark really early here. And so, you know.
And did you notice over the years that you had more trouble with weight in the winter months than you did in the summer months, for example?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and even all through high school, the story I would tell myself is, I always know I'm going to gain 5 or 10 pounds every winter. I always knew that I was going to gain weight in the winter, and I was going to take it off in the summer.
Okay.
And that was kind of the story that I would tell myself, and it happened. It was true. Like I was able to maintain a, you know, quote unquote normal weight. Until I went to college, and so in college I put in the freshman 15. And then I took off about 5 or 10 of those pounds that summer, you know, kind of like I thought I would. But then, unfortunately, I didn't take them all off. And the next year, I was the freshman or the sophomore 30. And then it just kept creeping. And my weight, by the time I graduated from college, I was about 30 pounds overweight. Which now doesn't seem horrible, but back then I wanted to die. It was really hard, and I had some other stuff going on too. By the time I finished college, college was kind of a struggle for me. It was kind of hard because I had some attention issues, and now I look back and I think about it, and I think that was due to my caffeine intake. I was totally Diet Coke, and I used Diet Coke and coffee to get myself through long study sessions. I thought I was doing myself a favor, but anyway, my first really big diet, I mean, prior to that, I had done things like swim fast and going to aerobics and going to work out and all of that, and I would kind of call those diets, you know? But things didn't get to be like really big. Like it didn't become a huge obsession for me the way it is now until after college. So after college, I was kind of floundering my first year after college. Not really floundering. I kind of intentionally sort of told myself I needed to take a break from all the pressure of finding a job and all that. So I worked I worked a retail job, and I worked at a movie theater, and I worked a lot. And so I was eating really poorly, and I think by then I was about 50 pounds overweight. No, it couldn't have been that. It was like 40 maybe pounds overweight, but I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I went into one of these little strip malls where they had like a creative health type of place. And they told me to drink a big bottle of, and then they told me I needed to detox. So I had to drink they gave me a huge water bottle, and they said to fill it up with lemon juice and water and maple syrup. And, or not, just a couple teaspoons of maple syrup. You weren't supposed to put a lot. But I remember this diet so well because it was super regimented. And then they had you take psyllium pills. And then you cut out all the food, and so you kind of fast for like a day or two, and I just remember like thinking, wow, this is really a big thing that I'm undertaking, but I'm just so determined. I did that, and I followed their plan pretty closely, and sure enough, I did lose weight, and but this was back when I was, you know, in my early 20s, and a lot of changes, and also it was in the summer, or it was in the spring, but then by the summer I was exercising again, and I had lost so much weight, I got back down to a normal weight, and I was so excited. And I was able to maintain that for, you know, a year or two, or maybe 3 even. But Then, of course, as you can predict, things started to go haywire again. And I found myself crying at drive-thrus. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the problems just started to just come back. And then I went to Korea to teach English. And then, of course, everything changed because I was no longer driving anywhere. And the food was different. And I was exercising a lot, a lot of walking. And again, I got my weight down to like more of a quote unquote acceptable level. But this was back in 2000. And so for the past 20 years, it's been a pretty solid creep. When I came back from Korea, again with the cultural changes and the food changes, it was right after 9/11, and I had lost a good friend, brain cancer at that time, and some things just started, and I didn't have my life together for sure.
Yeah.
And so some really negative eating patterns started, and I started just having whatever I wanted, whatever I missed the whole time I was in Korea. I just went to the grocery store and packed on the pounds. And
this was in Korea, or once you came back from Korea?
Oh, this was after I got back from Korea.
Okay, all right.
I found myself eating again, and the food culture in America changes really fast. By that time, things like coffee shops had started to get big, and that there were newer and better fast food restaurants, more choices in the grocery store even than before, and it was just everything was just sounded so good. And I remember being back only about a month or two, and driving down to Sioux Falls. This was, my parents had lived in South Dakota at the time, and I was driving down to Sioux Falls, and I had to unzip my pants because it was uncomfortable. Yeah. And I was like, this is stupid, but I actually had to like kind of pull them down so that I could, drive comfortably. And by the time I got to the mall to buy myself some new pants, I thought, I gotta like wear a coat around me. And I thought, I'm gonna go into the Gap and I'm gonna just buy one size bigger.
Yeah.
Well, to my horror, it wasn't one size bigger. I had to go up 2 pant sizes for what I was wearing. And it was really mortifying. But that, I went from, a size 12 to a size 16 in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And
how tall are you, Lorna? How tall are you?
I'm about 5'3".
Yeah. So that, it makes such a difference, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It makes a huge difference. Because sometimes I hear weight loss stories and I think, that's not very, heavy or whatever.
Yep.
And it isn't for them because they're tall. But so I mean, I got myself into this size 16, and I did not really know how to get it off. And then I started, I was trying, these times, like one time I found myself, I had gone back to grad school at that time, and I was up in a tiny little apartment that had a lot of steps, and I thought, I'm getting enough exercise this way. But I really wasn't. And I wound up, one time I remember eating one of those snack cakes from the grocery store, and I didn't have any clean silverware, and I was so hungry that I was just eating it with my hands, and I just all of a sudden stopped really quick, and I went, what am I doing? This is really awful. Yeah. And I started crying, and I threw the cake in the garbage, washed my hands, and I immediately just went downstairs and marched myself across the street to the YWCA and signed up. And it wasn't very successful because at that point it kind of hurt to exercise, and I wasn't really. I had no support system at all for how to lose this. But
And
I
you
just
had
knew I
not
to
gone
do something.
to Weight Watchers or something like that.
Not at that point.
Yeah.
Not at that point. I just thought I always relied on my own self to get it off, because after I had done that creative health thing, I thought I had figured it all out. I'll just eat fruits and vegetables and kind of starve yourself down, and you'll be fine, and exercise. But my life was completely different at this point, and I didn't really take that into account, how different things were.
Yeah.
And how different my hormones were, and the space that I was in with my anxiety and depression and all of that. Just all kind of wrapped up. But I actually got myself down a few pounds, and I was down into a size like 14, 16. And I was feeling fit and, healthy enough. And I thought, well, this is what I'm going to settle in at. And then I got my first teaching job, and that was kind of it. It was okay for like the first year weight-wise, and the next year I just put on another 20 pounds, and then I was a size 18, and then both of my parents got sick, and they both had cancer, both different kinds of cancer, but they had it at the same time.
Oh, boy.
And so I was doing I was teaching in another state. I was in Minnesota. My parents were in South Dakota. And so I was driving back and forth every weekend, and it was about a 4-hour drive.
Wow.
And during that time, I would eat. I would eat chips. I would try to be good, and I have, cut up vegetables or whatever. And then, but I just wasn't exercising enough. And then it became to the point where they were, having surgeries and going on hospice. And then they both died in 2012.
Wow.
And so through this all, I packed up my childhood home pretty much by myself, with the help of, community members that came in and helped, clean up, because they lived in that house for 30 years, and it was full of stuff. But I just really soothed myself with food. I threw all the health stuff out the window, and I took a detour on the health journey. Just went into the woods and then into the ocean, and just allowed myself to just get lost in it. And I got up to a size 22. And then I was really, really beyond. And I knew how sick I was, because I felt like when I walked around, I felt like the Michelin Man. I felt like I was popping out of my skin.
Felt uncomfortable.
And the pictures showed it. I looked like I was popping out of my skin, because like bursting, because I was just so big. And so, the summer between, my mom died in January and my dad died in that following November. So during that summer, I was still doing really unhealthy things with food. And I didn't really, frankly, have a lot of time to exercise with caretaking and all of that.
Right.
But I went into a MetaFast place.
Okay.
And they were charging like a lot of money.
Yes. No,
what I had.
I remember a friend of mine did that, and it was expensive. Yeah.
So expensive. And they were, and it just, I couldn't do it. They gave me all the materials, and they gave me all the stuff, but there was just so many other layers of the onion. That I just couldn't, that wasn't going to fix it. That wasn't going to do it. And I actually forgot to mention that I had gone into Weight Watchers a couple of years before. I had gone in and given it a try, but for some reason that just didn't work for me. I couldn't convert food into points. I'd always tracked my food. Like, I have food journals from 1996, so I keep those food journals and all that exercise stuff, and I have all my calendars, and every day that I weighed myself written down, so I can kind of see the whole pattern. of all these years. But now I'm 45, and I look back and I go, oh, so for over half of my life, I've been struggling with my weight. Over half.
Yeah.
And my great aunt, I went to visit her. She was passing away. She was in her early 90s, but I recall she's in the nursing home, kind of in her deathbed, and she said, "Oh, at least I'm losing a little bit of weight."
Oh, God, absolutely.
And I was like, "Wow, she's 92 or something," and I'm 45, and I have, if I live as long as she does.
So the final part of the podcast was focused on where Lorna felt she was right at the moment. And she described being on the slippery slope, and yet she had a foothold, and she was on her way up back to level ground. But she wasn't going to just try some of the tried and true measures that she had found worked temporarily for her during her life. But this time she was going to and has sought out a counselor whose specialty is weight issues, and try to see if that can't help her stabilize this roller coaster ride that she acknowledges she's been on for half her life. I think the continual search for something new to throw at this problem is the exact right response when you feel like you're on slippery ground. Some of us can use tried and true measures to get us back up to level ground, and sometimes the tried and true just don't seem so true any longer. And so we have to try something new. So I really applaud her for seeking out some counseling on this issue. Clearly, with her family history of great-grandmother, grandmother, mother, great-aunt, the issues of weight haven't all revolved around a food culture, since their lifespans spanned how many different food cultures. Yes, we live in the one we're in, but I think that getting at some of these issues may really help her, as it does help us when we look a little bit deeper and take a look at our behavior and what it might mean. Whenever I think about the roller coaster, to me personally, I come back to the science of it. And it's a sobering science, but it's a science that's really helped me. And that is that once you've established in your life a pattern of gaining and losing and gaining and losing, you have somewhat of a biological footprint or fingerprint that is uniquely yours. And part of that unique feature is that your body simply struggles to get back to that overweight that we all know is unhealthy, but the body is not quite tuned in to all these op-ed articles about what's healthy and what isn't. It has gotten a little screwed up in this gaining and losing, and so it has a status point where it feels it's in danger if it goes below. And so I think so many of us have done this roller coaster because our bodies, whether we are aware of it or not, seem to simply want to get that weight back. And that has nothing to do with willpower. It has nothing to do with the culture we're in, or, what our DNA is. We simply have this part of our physical makeup to come to terms with. And the best way to come to terms with that is to acknowledge it and realize that once you lose the weight, vigilance is your best friend. It may be annoying, it may be boring, but it's your best friend. And in the end, those of us who have been successful for years, I think would all uniformly agree that our histories may be very different, but we know we cannot take our eye off what our goal is, because the forces that be, the inner forces, the biological forces, simply want that weight back. And I'm working on my 10th year, and I'm telling you, and I'm telling myself, that weight's not coming back, okay? And I do feel that I have within me the ability to deal with it. And I think Lorna has the ability. I think anyone who really wants to deal with this once and for all. And remember, it took me to 64 to be able to do it. So I advocate learning it at 45, Lorna, and if you can learn it in your 20s, all the better. So that's it for this week. I thank Lorna very much, and if anyone out there listening would like to share their story, please contact me at artofthediet@gmail.com. And next month, if I don't have an interview, I think I'll probably have a few thoughts on some of the recent articles I've been reading about weight loss and maintaining a weight loss. You would think after all these years that I couldn't even read yet another one, but I always do. And sometimes I'm laughing out loud, and sometimes I'm going, oh, that's interesting. So perhaps I'll share that next month. All right, I'm wishing you well out there in this crazy world we're in, and talk to you later.